Do you think we make college football playoff still?
No, that's over with. Forget it. If we would have kept it close, maybe, but we just got obliterated and looked stupid and looked terrible. And no, it's over. We're going to the Rose Bowl. What is up, Buckeye Nation? Floco here from Ohio State Football with Scarlet and Great right here on YouTube, along with my co-founders and good friends, Johnny Bullet and Sugar Ray Shane Larson, the game time guru himself, the Boise Buckeye, here to react to the first of many conference championship games this weekend on Friday night. The Pac-12 conference championship game, which I got to admit, shocked me unbelievably. I'm not even going to lie to you. I thought USC was going to get the revenge game and get and secure their spot in the playoff, and we're going to have to hope for TCU. I'll get into that in a second. But USC loses in fantastic fashion to Utah. Utah clearly outmuscled them, just mental toughness, out physical than everything. Physicality is making a huge comeback in college football. Remember, it was the Oregon era of the speed and space. No huddle, no mercy. It was just finesse. Bama seemed to be like the most physical team in the college football that would make it work because they had just superior athletes all across the field, along with everybody else. So they made that physical game work. But even they had to adjust to it with Lane Kiffin. Remember when they brought him in to specifically to adjust to that style offense. But anyway. Physicality making a huge comeback in college football. Georgia's a very physical football team. Michigan's a very physical football team. Utah, very physical football team. They're not as talented as these other teams, but they can beat you just by punching you in the mouth and keep punching you, keep getting up when they're down. They were down 17-3 in this game, and they came back. I think it was a 44-7 win, run after that. It was ridiculous. I actually enjoyed watching the game tremendously because I don't know. I love physical football, and that's kind of where I would like Ohio State to get back to. But that's another topic for another day. I'm not going to completely get into that, but this is huge for Ohio State. What does this mean for Ohio State? Well, going into this weekend, Ohio State was ranked number five in the college football playoff, and USC was ranked number 4. So obviously, Ohio State needed them to lose in order to have a chance in the college football playoff. Now I would say that they're in because USC had one loss coming into this game. Now they have 2 losses. Ohio State is one of 4 teams in the country with 1 or 0 losses. In fact, they might be the only team left with 1 loss, I think, now until tomorrow. I mean, unless all 3 of those win, then there's 3 undefeated teams in the 1 loss Ohio State, and that's pretty much set up for the committee right there, right? It's like, okay, if all 3 teams win tomorrow, and then Ohio State's got the 1 loss to the number 2 team in the country, then I don't know what else you have to discuss, but. There's some people who think Bama is going to jump us. I don't see that at all. I think if they were going to, they would have had Bama ahead of us the week prior. There's no basis to have Bama jump Ohio State. I mean, they've had 2 losses. They haven't had a great season. They don't really have any really great wins either. Ohio State has a couple of good wins. Alabama has a couple of good wins, but they have 2 losses. They're not in the SEC title talk. It's going to be LSU Georgia tomorrow, as this is probably as you're watching this. But I think this means look. Last week, obviously, you saw in the clip. I thought we were done. It was over for the season. I was completely wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. You don't understand when I say something negative about Ohio State and I turn out to be wrong. I'm actually happy to be wrong because I want what's best for Ohio State. I love this. I love the fact that USC completely laid an egg, got beat worse than Ohio State ever did by Michigan. Because I felt like we got beat up in the fourth quarter, whereas, gosh, it seemed like from the first quarter on, Utah just had USC's number, and USC just couldn't react or match or anything. But anyway, that being said, huge for OSU. Obviously, I think it means I'm 99% sure we're going to the playoffs. There's always that 1% because that committee could do something incredibly goofy. There's other scenarios to talk about, though. They're going to be interesting. Now, granted, I want to talk more about this when all the games are played, but imagine a scenario where Michigan wins, Georgia wins, they've remained 1 and 2. I think that's pretty much a give. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Georgia's a little bit more iffy. I think LSU could sneak up and beat somebody, but I really don't expect Purdue to beat Michigan. Could be wrong. It's college football. Any given Saturday, you never know. But Michigan's an extremely tough physical football team with good speed on the edge. Purdue, I mean, the West is just terrible. But hey, you know what? You never know. It's college football. Any given Saturday, like I said. But imagine then TCU loses to Kansas State, and that's where the debate comes in. Do you put in Bama over TCU? Now, in my opinion, I wouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to justify that. I'd still put in TCU. I think the top 3 teams should be in no matter what. But that just the seeding would probably change a little bit depending on who wins, who loses. But if TCU loses, think about what the committee has to face. Now they look at a semifinal where it's possible where TCU loses, they're out of the top 4. Bama moves up to 4, Ohio State to 3. Then you get Michigan, Ohio State in the semifinal. You get Georgia, Alabama in the semifinal. That's a ratings bonanza. That's money, 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 money. I mean, the committee is definitely going to be thinking about that. And then what happens then, guaranteed, you get the best of the Big Ten, whether it's Ohio State or Michigan, whoever wins, and the best of the SEC, whether it's Bama or Georgia, whoever wins, against each other. And the best 2 conferences in college football have easily been SEC and the Big Ten. So, I mean, that would just be a ratings dream come true. But we'll see what happens and how it shakes out. I mean, there's so many things that could happen. Again, in my personal opinion, you cannot justify Bama over TCU. But I mean, would we be shocked if they did that? But I look at this. Ohio State fans should be excited about this opportunity. And I think many of them are. The issue is I do run into too many of them that just they're Eeyores. You know, I don't want to get embarrassed again. I just like, well, what would you rather do? Would you want to shy away from the challenge and the opportunity to play for a national title, to get redemption against the team up north? Why do you want to shy away from it? Why do you want to wait 365 days to play that team in Ann Arbor and try to just to get redemption to beat them again? I want to play them in the playoff. Frankly, I hope it works out where TCU wins. The rankings don't change other than Ohio State getting that 4th spot. And potentially, I'm not saying it'll guarantee to happen. If Michigan beats TCU, Ohio State beats Georgia, we have a Ohio State-Michigan rematch in the national title game. That would be explosive and exciting. I mean, 36 million, I think, was the most a college football national title has ever gotten in ratings. I think you might beat that. I mean, talk about how amazing that would be for college football in general. The greatest rivalry in the history of the sport, getting to play in the national title game. And not in one of those disputed where everybody has a call for or a claim to it because that we determined some press release somewhere determined that we are the national title winner. It's because we went to the college football playoff and it is determined indisputably right there on the field in LA. How exciting would that be? Go ahead and comment below. Tell me what you want to see in the college football playoff in the scenarios. Let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to challenge you right now. Would you, if TCU loses tomorrow, I'm going to go back to that playoff scenario. Would you want to see the semifinal that I talked about, Georgia, Bama, OSU, Michigan, or would you want to do what quote unquote the right thing and keep TCU in there and maybe drop them to 4th or whatever and play Georgia, and then we get our semifinal rematch with Michigan? What would you do if you're in the committee? I'm really curious about that. I mean, what would you want to see as a fan? If I'm a little biased, I almost want to see that. You know, I can't justify on an ethical level why TCU should get over Bama, but I would like to see that. As a fan, I'd like to see what I described. But also, back to OSU, OSU fans should be 100% excited for this opportunity. It's like when we were losing the Clemson, we were 0-4 against Clemson. I'd love back then when we played them in 2020. Everybody was, oh man, they've had our number. I don't care. I want to play them and play them and play them until we beat them. I want to beat them. Stop being afraid of them. Michigan has our number right now. That's a fact. It is what it is. I want to play them again. I want to play them again. I want to play them as many times as humanly possible. I want to keep playing them, and it's going to make us better. I mean, if say we go to the semifinal, we lose to Michigan again, it stinks. It's horrible. It's a terrible feeling, but it forces the program to get better. It forces them to take an inward look and say, what are we doing wrong? Because now Michigan has surpassed us completely, and they're dominating us. How do we get back to that level where we were the kings of the castle of the Big Ten? You don't get better from shying away from challenges. That's a fact of life. It's scary sometimes. It's terrifying sometimes. But what do you really lose if your football team goes and gets the crap beat out of them in the playoff? What do you lose personally? Nothing. The next day is going to go on. Your life's going to go on. There'll be another game next year. It's not a good feeling. I don't like it either. I get angry about it. You saw me in the video last week. I can get angry about it, but at the same time, I look forward to these kinds of opportunities for my football team that I follow and football team that I love. So I say this is an exciting time. Be excited. that we're probably going to get. I'm saying, like I said, I'm 99% sure we're getting in the playoff, but there's always a curveball here or there. But I'm pretty sure we're getting in play. Not to mention Ohio State is just a massive ratings, money, everything. That's what drives all of this. So, you be excited about the fact that USC laid an egg in the Pac-12. Thank you, Utah. I mean, it's funny because the Myers, Urban Meyer and Shelley Meyer were pulling for Utah. I probably had a double win for them because of their affection for Utah when Urban was there and their affection for how it helps Ohio State. So thank you. Thank you for that. Be excited. I can't wait. Bring it on. If it's Georgia, great. If it's Michigan, great. I don't care who it is in the semifinal. Go play them and see how you match up to them. I don't want to hear, well, we're going to get beat. I don't care. I don't want to go to the Orange Bowl and play Clemson. I mean, I just don't. I don't care about it. I'm glad I was wrong. 100%. I own it. I was wrong last week, and I 100% own it. But I'm glad to be wrong. Go to the playoff and get a second chance. A second chance at what? Get a chance at redemption. This is the exciting time. CJ Stroud was, I picked on him quite a bit. I picked on Ryan Day quite a bit. I was upset. I'm still needing to see proof from them on certain things. Not to say where Ryan Day's ever, I mean, I saw this graph. People were saying Ryan Day was never won a big game. That's ridiculous. He's won big games at Ohio State. He's like, he's done extremely well against ranked opponents. I think he has 15 wins and he's outscored them by like 260 points or something like that. I mean, to say Ryan Day's never won big games is wrong, but right now he is on a skid with Michigan. There's no question about it. And he needs to redeem himself in the rivalry. That's a fact. Okay, fine. He might get his chance to in the playoff. How exciting is that? Now, CJ Stroud, I picked on him, but I called him the Russell Westbrook of Ohio State. I think as of right now, he kind of is, but he has a chance now to redeem himself. So I look, getting back on thought, I look at this and I say, CJ, yes, he was in his press conference saying, I'm going to be the guy who never won a game here. I'm just going to have to eat that. Okay. I mean, yeah, you kind of do, unfortunately. That's just a part of being Ohio State football. But the cool thing about this is CJ now, it's like the Undertaker in wrestling, sits back up. You got life breathed into you now. This is your chance to get redemption and go out and win those big games. Maybe you'll leave as Ohio State. You'll never, obviously, not coming back, and you shouldn't come back. You should go make that money in the first round. But you're going to leave Ohio State, never winning the Big Ten. Okay, that's terrible. It stinks. But now you have a shot at the Natty. Show the world who you are. What a chance at redemption for this young man. I'm personally rooting for him. Yeah, I was mad at his play, but that doesn't mean I don't like him as a person. I'm not to mention the national championship game is in LA, for crying out loud, in California, his home state. Imagine him getting to play Michigan, if it's possible, if it works out that way in the seeding. If he got to play Michigan, get a redemption against that team up north in LA, in California, for the national title, and he was able to redeem himself and win a natty again that way. You could just go ahead and write that script and start that movie right now. Talk about a 30 for 30 if I ever saw one. So if they still do those, I don't know anymore. But I mean, I'm pulling for our guys to get redemption. Yes, I was a ticked off fan. I'm still a little annoyed by how we played, but it doesn't mean I don't want to see redemption for the team. It doesn't mean I don't want to have that opportunity to do that as a fan, as a team, and I'm excited for the Buckeyes. I'm fully on board. Let's go. I don't care who it is. Go play them and show them what you got. As Marvin Harrison said on Twitter, let's ball. Absolutely, guys. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll have some more reactions coming up with the College Football Playoff Committee coming up, the selection committee. Obviously, we're going to talk about the host of games coming up today. I don't know what's going to happen. As I'm recording this right now, the only game that's been played is USC, Utah. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of rooting for TCU morally, to keep Alabama out of it. Not even that I hate Alabama. I actually respect the hell out of Nick Saban, but it's more along the lines. I think they should stay in no matter what. They've had a phenomenal season. I don't think you should slip up once and just be completely out of it because of ratings. But you know how the committee works. I still think Bama might have a really good shot at getting in over TCU if TCU loses. But if TCU wins, TCU Michigan's an interesting matchup. Georgia Ohio State would be an interesting matchup. We'll talk about it more as we know more. So appreciate you guys. As always, goodbye. God bless, and go Bucks.